Well, hi everyone, Sean Humphreys here. Welcome to All Things Retirement. Well, in this installment of the All Things Retirement videos, we're going to talk about aging well. What's aging well? Well, often when we think about aging well, we may apply it to our own lives. It could be, looking after my health and vitality, my social relationships, my cognitive powers as an example, and trying to maintain health and independence for as long as possible. The part of aging well that I'm going to talk about today, though, is more the aging well for our aging family members, could be our parents. And in fact, working in the wealth planning industry, hardly a week goes by that we don't have questions come up or issues we have to help our client families with as they deal with aging parents. So I'm going to talk about a great document that was created by Fidelity Investments, and it's really a conversation guide and a resource guide to help you engage with your aging family members, maybe aging parents, on really important conversations that you need to have to help them age well. It's a really, really important conversation. The challenge for many of us is that we don't want to engage in the conversations often because they're uncomfortable, or we're not exactly sure how to approach them. We don't know what the response is going to be to our loved one. And so they're emotionally charged and they're hard conversations to have. So Fidelity put this guide together to, first of all, talk about all the critical issues that you need to be considering, but also to give you some conversation starters and some strategies for how you can broach these issues for your loved one. So aging well is, obviously about diet and nutrition and all those kinds of things. It's also about where your loved one is going to live, what kind of additional support services will they need. Probably most importantly, talking about those things before they need those services. It's not uncommon for families to think or assume that things are going really well for mom and dad, or just mom or dad, and then all of a sudden the wheels on the bus just start falling off, and now that bus is colliding into fences and other cars and vehicles, and all kinds of issues are coming up for the families as they are surprised but the level of support and need and requirements for their aging loved one. So the whole idea here is to get ahead of those crisis points and begin planning now by engaging in difficult but important conversations. And I can assure you that once you've had the conversations, it just gives everyone collectively peace of mind and confidence about planning for the future. Okay, so let's go through this guide. Now, this guide you can access by clicking a link to our website. So if you go to SeanHumphreys.com, then when you get to the website, there'll be a downloadable link there, and you can just get this document for your own use. And it's something I would really encourage you to go through. So when we look at aging well, let me just cover off some of the main key points in this discussion guide. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the table of contents as an outline for this guide. I'm not going to get into too many pages in detail, but if you look at the table of contents, basically, first of all, there's a section about preparing for peace of mind. That's really what this discussion is about, how to get the most out of the document. And then section 1 is about developing a plan. So each section talks about finances. Often finances include, is there an estate plan, a will document, powers of attorney, how much will care costs be, how will that impact your loved one's finances, what kinds of tax and investment strategies and deaccumulation strategies are to be put in place, how much capacity does that loved one have, does the family member have to get involved in subsidizing some of those costs as well. So the financial piece is really important. Health and wellness is the piece here, which talks about all the issues around health and wellness you can think of, so you can go to the document on your own. Aging in place, basically we're getting into the discussions on how do we develop supports and services for our loved ones so they can stay in their home as long as possible, and I think that should be the goal. Study after study confirms that's probably the best place for your loved one. And then housing and care, and then end-of-life decisions and planning, and of course, how do you work with your team of advisors? Who are your advisors? What's their role? What's the role of your financial planner, your accountant, your lawyers, a social worker, counselors, your pastor? All kinds of people could be involved in that planning. Section 2 is important conversations, decisions, and documentation. That is a really, really good part of this document because it actually walks you through a whole series of conversation starters for each of the functional areas that you would want to be looking at, and then there's a helpful resources section with links to various organizations that you may want to touch base with. So this is the first piece we talked about, which is developing a plan, and you can go through that. And then, as an example, this is one of the pages in the document. So it talks about memory. It's normal to become more forgetful as we age, but how much is too much? It's a great question. How can you tell whether your loved one's tip of the tongue moments are a normal age-related change versus something that is more serious and you need to be more attentive to? So if you go through this page, it's going to give you a whole bunch of different categories and 2 columns that allow you to assess various challenges, and they could be memory loss that disrupts daily life, challenges in planning and problem solving, difficulty in completing familiar tasks. So, as example, difficulty in completing familiar tasks. Okay, so age-related change would be difficulty recording a TV show. There's possible issues if there's difficulty driving to a familiar place, as an example. So it's a great resource, and it's a good example of the kind of questions and information that you need to begin pondering. And then, like I said, as you go through the document, there's some great conversation starters that you can review. Anyway, I hope that you found that resource helpful, and my encouragement to you, if you have an aging loved one and they don't have to be in a lot of need at this point, you're just trying to get ahead of the curve with important conversations, then take advantage of this resource guide by going to our website to download it. We spend a lot of time thinking about how we can assist clients and families plan for their wealth planning, their finances, and particularly retirement income planning, which is all-encompassing when it looks at financing. It has an impact on our estate planning, our investment portfolios, our tax planning, our cash flow planning. You name it, retirement income planning has an intersection point to all those areas. So if you're intrigued by the idea of working with a retirement coach to give you clarity and peace of mind around your own retirement income planning, then reach out to us. As well, there's a link to a page on our website that will take you to additional resources, and feel free to use those resources, download them, and then if you want to engage in a conversation, you can give our office a phone call or send us a quick email. Anyway, you take care, and all the best with your retirement income planning and wealth planning.